Greetings all! Today, we will be examining the relatively common fighting-type Pokemon Machop, its uncommon evolution Machoke, and its rare final evolution Machamp, collectively known as the Superpower Pokémon. Renowned worldwide for their incredible physical strength, the members of the Machop family are powerful fighters that can bring incredible force to any fight and easily demonstrate what the fighting type is truly capable of in close quarters. Machop possess incredibly humanoid bodies with a limb and hand structure identical to that of a human being, though their toes are seemingly fused in this state of evolution, and they are in possession of a fleshy tail. This is not so surprising when one realizes that this is because they are closely related to humans, though they exist as a separate group of mammalian life forms. As such, they can use their five-fingered hands to grasp and interact with objects, opposable thumbs included, and dominantly walk upright much like ourselves. They have putty gray skin, toothless mouths, and bright red eyes, while the tops of their head are adorned with a prominent light brown three-part crest made out of keratin, making it the closest thing to hair on their entire bodies. Their frames are relatively small in size, but their muscles are quite large for their size, and they have almost no body fat in them whatsoever, resulting in parts of their ribs showing through their skin. Their evolved form, Machoke, possess the same general body structure, though in their case they have 5 toes on each foot, their heads have a noticeable snout, they have lost their tail, and their skin has turned a purplish-gray color. They have developed a pair of sharp canines on their upper and lower jaws in order to more efficiently consume protein-rich food like meat, and their muscles have grown to the point that their entire form looks ripped, so much so that large red veins in their upper and lower arms streak across their frame, pulsing as their muscles move. Their lower bodies are covered in a skin-like dark purple coating with an external organ with the look of a golden championship belt, marked with a symbol that resembles the English letter P that is used to help them control their power. Their final evolution, Machamp, take a step back in terms of biological development in some areas, as their toes fuse so they only have 2 on each foot. Their skin reverts to a slightly darker shade of gray compared to what Machop possess, their veins are no longer visible on their arms, and they lose their prominent canines in exchange for a more human-like set of teeth, complete with a prominent set of beige lips. Their external belt organ has shrunk in size slightly, but what is most noteworthy is the addition of a second pair of arms on their body. The secondary pair sprouts from a lump of skeletal and muscle tissue on their back, and grants them an incredible increase to their overall power, by far making them the strongest member of their family. While they might technically be related to humans, the members of the Machop family are far more powerful than the vast majority of other mammals, and this is primarily due to the way in which their muscle structure is arranged and developed on their skeletal frame. For reasons that are still not entirely clear, the muscle tissue that grows within these creatures is incredibly dense, so much so that in the case of Machoke and Machamp, their muscles are as hard as steel and can stop small caliber bullets with relative ease, though that won't stop them from actually doing damage to them. Moreover, their bodies have the capacity to rapidly repair any damaged skeletal muscle tissue in their body and filter out the metabolites that result in muscles becoming strained and tired over time, meaning that they can effectively use their muscles on a constant basis without ever having to rest. This has made the creatures prime candidates for professional fighting tournaments, and have undergone artificial selection by human hands so much that it has actually affected their sex ratios, as specimens in the family are 3 times more likely to be male than female. In addition, intense training over time has helped these creatures become natural masters of the martial arts, and even at a young age, they can learn and master any type of martial art introduced to them, with young Machop in particular being known to undergo long journeys on their own just to learn as many different types of martial art as they possibly can. Their receptiveness to learning and overall high intelligence has made them top choices for use by many trainers, and the immense physical strength they can yield even at a young age can make them great additions to any team, especially since human breeding of them has made them among the most common of fighting-type Pokemon to find in the wild. When these creatures are not actively fighting others or taking part in other muscle-building activities, they will often go into secretive places on mountains and other isolated areas to train in peace, their muscles swelling every day and encouraging them to push themselves even harder the next day as they feed on the most nutritious foods they can find to keep their health up and boost their strength. This, combined with their resilient, unyielding personalities and willingness to fight any opponent with all of their power under any circumstances, is what enables them to possess the guts and no-guard abilities as base abilities, while specimens that are particularly courageous and unwilling to flinch or back down from a fight can possess steadfast as a hidden ability. In terms of stats, in looking at Machamp, it comes as no surprise that their impressive stamina and incredible physical power shines through in their physical offenses, with them further being a bit more resilient against energy-based strikes than normal due to their intense fighting spirit, resulting in their base HP, attack, and special defense stats being above average for a fully evolved fighting-type Pokemon. On the other hand, though, they have little in the way of special power to show, and are slower and less physically resilient than some other fighting types, resulting in their base defense, special attack, and speed stats being below average for a fully evolved Pokemon of their type. Even so, Machamp are incredibly powerful fighters, as is the entirety of this family, and there are very few other fighting types that can hold a candle to the incredible physical might at their disposal on a constant basis. Despite their young age and small size, Machop are incredibly strong from the moment they are born, and have muscles that can be bulged on any part of their body, enabling them to hoist a sumo wrestler on their shoulders and lift and hurl at least 100 human adults in a single throw as they approach evolution, instinctually training each and every day like clockwork in order to build muscle tissue rapidly. While their training can sometimes be quite intense, these creatures are smart about carefully developing their bodies, as they will not force themselves to train if they are seriously hurt, instead taking time to rest their muscles and allow them to heal before continuing to ensure that they don't accidentally do more damage to them by straining them too much. It helps that they are incredibly devoted to their task, using Pokemon like Geodude and eventually Graveler as barbells they lift in order to rapidly build their upper arm strength and even their leg strength, as even their feet are packed with a surprising amount of muscle tissue. As their muscles swell in size with each passing day, these creatures become increasingly dedicated to their training and confident about their strength, and once they feel that they are ready after training with friends, they will travel through the wild to find Pokemon like Makuhita that they can then test their strength against in an attempt to push themselves beyond their limits. Their desire to learn as many skills as possible when fighting drives them to go to the most remote of places to learn, crossing oceans if needed, and even if they are denied the vital resources they need to survive, these creatures will never lose their composure unless they cannot train for reasons other than injury, oftentimes becoming quite upset if they cannot train every single day. Even then, they are rarely satisfied with their training and constantly strive to push themselves harder every day. While they normally dwell within mountainous terrain in order to train in peace, they show no qualms about entering into public spaces to train as well, but they rarely ever make themselves into a threat of concern, making them a welcome sight and generally quite fun to be around when not on the receiving end of one of their attacks. As these creatures evolve into Machoke, their incredible physical power only continues to grow, as their muscles become so tough that they exude an aura of power even when these creatures are standing still. Unfortunately, their power grows so much when they evolve due to an excessive generation of growth hormones that it becomes too much for their nervous system to readily control, and without restraint, they can cause mass destruction with even the slightest of attacks or motions. In order to contain their power, these creatures develop a unique organ on their exteriors called a power safe belt that acts as a limiter for their power by purposefully injecting a toxin into their body that weakens their muscles and limits their overall motion capabilities without causing permanent damage to them, allowing them to interact with others safely when not in a combat scenario. Machoke guard themselves and this organ at all costs, and will do everything they can to prevent it from being removed, knowing what terrors they could be capable of without the limiter in place. Also being something that mankind realizes, as no one has ever tried to remove the belt personally. Machoke will only willingly remove the detachable organ from their body if they are faced with a daunting opponent whose power far outclasses them normally, using their full might to lay low said threat with every ounce of power they can muster. Thankfully, this is an extremely rare occurrence, and for the most part, Machoke are safe to be around, and in fact tend to prove to be very helpful to those in need of their strength. As it turns out, these creatures are very open and willing to help humans and Pokemon alike lift and transport heavy objects, having enough physical strength to easily hoist a sumo wrestler on one finger or lift a dump truck with a single hand. This is mainly done for personal reasons, as they recognize the heavy lifting to be very good for developing muscles, but regardless, they will willingly help anyone out that needs their assistance and are in fact the go-to for cheap labor in the heavy lifting department across the globe. This is further complemented by their surprising sense of modesty, as while they are incredibly strong, they rarely show it outside of basic life activities and rarely use their full power against weaker opponents, spending their free time bodybuilding and training to continuously develop their muscles. In battle, though, these creatures are still something to be feared, as they can always maintain focus on their opposition in a fight, and their muscles grow with every single battle, overall making them a dangerous force to be reckoned with. Interestingly enough, though, the well-developed, muscular bodies they possess have been a popular motif for many artists and sculptors across the millennia, and in turn have been captured in many artistic media over the course of human civilization, showing that there is more than just raw brute strength for these creatures to offer. Normally, Machoke serve as the adult form of this family and cannot evolve any further, but when they are exposed to unique energy fields, such as those present in trading devices, it triggers a mutation in their form that causes them to evolve further, becoming the behemoth monstrosity known as Machamp. While many minor things about their physical form change, the most prominent change is the growth of a second pair of arms from their back. This alone would definitely lead one to think that this increases their power, to the point where it grants them access to their signature attack, Strength, a former hidden machine move, immediately upon evolving, but the truth is that it does so to a degree far beyond the comprehension of most. Because this evolution is triggered by unnatural mutation, this transformation is not completely wholesome, and instead of developing extra nerves to help control the added set of arms, the nerves used to control their primary arms are split in thickness, with the removed tissue being reconstructed to work for their back arms. As a result of this, when these creatures throw a punch or chop with one hand, a corresponding limb connected to the same nerve strand will operate as well. With this bizarre anatomy, these monsters can rely on twitch reflexes to dole out an astounding 1,000 punches in 2 seconds, a speed so intense that it is only prevented from ripping their limbs apart by the sturdy nature of their muscle tissue. In close quarters, this can be incredibly deadly, as it allows Machamp to dole out devastating punching, chopping, and uppercut combos from different angles that can obliterate lesser opponents in seconds, especially considering that these monsters can send a train car flying with a single megaton punch and lift the equivalent of an entire mountain in mass with a single arm. The same result can be seen when they are defending themselves against attack, even in the midst of attacking the target at the same time, which in turn explains their ability to learn the wide guard technique after evolving. If they are looking to punish their foes even more, however, these creatures can also use their limbs to hoist up and twist their foe into an incredibly painful contorted shape, a submission hold known as the Machamp Special, and this can often lead to the dislocation of enemy limbs if they refuse to submit to the hold. Regardless of the outcome, if one sees a Machamp grab an opponent with all 4 arms and pin them to the ground, it is a sign that the battle is over, as these monsters will then proceed to lift and either hurl their opponent or punch them into the air so forcefully that they may completely disappear over the horizon. In addition to having all of this astounding power, however, Machamp are sadly more aggressive than Machoke due to an overproduction of adrenaline in their systems caused by their mutated evolution, oftentimes leaping straight into a fight without thinking beforehand. And because of the awkward way in which their arm muscles are controlled, if they try and do anything that requires precise use of their fingers, like knitting or playing with small animals, their nervous system has difficulty restraining their power, and their arms will quickly become tangled, Machamp being unable to properly coordinate their limbs into committing the delicate actions they desire to accomplish. Regardless, Machamp are still intelligent and incredibly powerful Pokemon that can hit with horrific force every time they attack, and with the right strategy, there is very little that can be done physically to restrain and control the devastating physical might they naturally possess, especially when the fighting spirit flares up in the face of an exceptionally tough opponent. And the less thought about what they might be capable of without their power save belt limiting their power, the better. Though their power may be the definition of uncontrollable when in their adult stages of development without something to restrain them, the members of the Machop family are still loyal fighters that can bring more than a bit of pain to every conflict they enter into. You may require a bit of assistance from a friend in order to get them to a fully evolved state, but as long as you just let them do as they do, they'll shape up to be true champions in no time with limited support needed on your end. Just do yourself a favor and try to let them train on their own outside of battle if they seem to be doing a better job at it than you. It's always nice to be willing to help your Pokemon train, but if you get in the way of these creatures when they are preparing for future battles, you'll have no one but yourself to blame if they need you to spot them, only to see that they've been lifting cars or something even heavier just as regular exercise. Thank you all for watching this video. It is always an honor to be able to speak with you all on the subject of Pokemon in a way that brings me great joy and happiness in my work. If you would like to keep tabs on past and future work, click that subscribe button, check out my work on DeviantArt, and don't be shy about following me on Twitter, where you can find pertinent announcements on upcoming work before it is officially posted. Links to both can be found in the video description. If you would like to support my work and help Miguel and I continue to produce more content for you and improve upon our presentation, please visit us at my Patreon page, which you can also find a link to in the video description.
Yep, no.
With that, I thank you for watching and I wish you well.